and then knock it out again. Keep going until you get to failure. All right, Mark McKillary here with Live Anabolic, and today I got a really cool band workout for you guys that requires no anchors. So you don't have to be near a door or a pole or anything like that. You need to watch. I got 6 fantastic exercises. Gonna hit every single muscle in our body today. And then stick around, because at the very end, I'm gonna show you a little trick that I like to do to actually supercharge these exercises to get more bang for your buck. All right, the first exercise today is a push-up. And before you roll your eyes, I'm gonna show you how to do it with bands. So this is gonna actually up the difficulty and the intensity of a normal push-up. So, everybody knows the correct form. I'm going to show you how to do it with bands, but before we get there, I want to tell you how to figure out how many push-ups to do. Every other exercise today, I'm going to tell you how many reps and sets. So we're going to be doing 3 sets of 10 reps on everything except these push-ups. And that is because when you're lifting your own body weight, especially with push-ups, the number of push-ups you guys can do varies vastly between the beginners and the experts, all right? So how do you know how many to do? Because 10 push-ups might be impossible for some guys, and it might be incredibly easy for others. So this is how I want you guys to calculate your push-up requirements for today. You need to know what is the maximum number of push-ups you can do without rest, all right? That would be called your personal record, your PR, all right? So I did this months and months ago. I was able to do 50, and I mean, it killed me, all right? So that is my PR. I'm gonna take 30% of that. And that's how many push-ups I'm gonna do with these resistance bands. So 30% of 50 is 15. So if you guys can only max out and do 10, all right, just with no bands, okay? This is just your normal body weight. That's your PR. I want you to take 30% of that, which would be 3, and that's how many reps I want you to do for your push-ups. Now remember, we're gonna do 3 sets of that, all right? So that is how everybody's gonna calculate the correct number of push-ups for them. This is the only exercise today that's gonna be like that. Now, take some bands, all right, and you can kind of experiment, all right? I'm gonna be using 2. You may be able to use 1 or maybe even 3 to make it more difficult, all right? So I'm gonna put them under my hands like this, and then my hands are the anchor, all right? So here we go, normal push-up position, and I'm just gonna go down and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so let me explain real quick what was going on there besides the fact I did 15, and that is really tough, okay? Even though I could do 50 several months ago with no resistance. So at the bottom of the movement, all right, when my chest is almost all the way to the ground, there's no stretch in those bands. There's no resistance, all right? Works out perfectly, because when you're at the bottom of the movement, when your hands are way up here near your chest, that's when you are at your weakest, all right? So that's when the bands are not adding any resistance, when you're at your weakest. And then as you start to push, okay, and your back raises up, you start to stretch the bands. Well, the bands are adding resistance, all right, making it more difficult. And guess what? When you're at the top of the movement, when your arms are getting close to straight, is when you're at your strongest. So it's a really cool exercise to do with bands, because it only adds resistance when your body has a mechanical advantage and it's getting easier to do. So guys, try this out, and remember, only do 30% of your personal record. All right, exercise number 2 is something called a bent over reverse fly. So you're not gonna be able to do a lot of resistance here, guys. An experiment, okay, you're not gonna know exactly which color band to use right off, and that's fine, okay? But we're gonna be working our back and our shoulders, the rear part of our shoulders. Remember, our shoulders have got 3 distinct muscle groups, okay? So we're gonna be targeting the rear part of our shoulder plus all those big upper back muscles. So guys, this is a really fun exercise. We're just gonna use our feet as anchors, okay? So make sure you got equal length band on both sides. Now, what I like to do is cross the handles over, okay? So we have a little X formed here, and we gotta bend over, all right? Have a nice bend in your knees, and I'm gonna be looking down and forward, okay? So I'm literally gonna focus on bringing my elbows up and back as far as I can. And nice, slow, controlled movement, guys. And if you can, hold it at the top for just a split second. 6, 7. Now, I don't want you to lock your knees out, okay, because you'll put too much stress on your lower back. Just a little bend in your knees, and that will really take all that stress off that weak lower back. So 10 reps of this. We're gonna do 3 sets. Now, how long do you rest in between sets, okay? I like to rest typically about a minute, okay? It depends on what muscle group I'm working. So when I'm doing legs, big muscle group, all right, you get really out of breath. I typically rest a little bit longer, maybe a minute and a half. When I'm doing small muscle groups like bicep curls, you can rest even less than a minute, maybe 45 seconds or so. So 3 sets of 10, and you guys are gonna really start to feel the burn here and in your rhomboids and your traps up here. Fantastic exercise, compound movement. All right, exercise number 3 is called an overhead tricep extension. So we're gonna be isolating the back part of our arm here, our triceps. Now guys, everybody likes to focus on biceps, right? Biceps look really cool, but remember, your triceps make up a bigger percentage of your overall arm than your biceps. So don't neglect them, all right? Just because they're back here and you don't see them doesn't mean everybody else can't see them. All right, I'm gonna take just kind of a narrow stance. I like to do this with a more narrow stance. I always make sure that I have equal length bands on both sides, all right? I'm gonna go, this is the starting position right here, guys. All right, so the handles are right here by the side of my head. And remember, you're gonna have to kind of look up, all right? So don't try to look forward. I like to look up, and I'm just gonna press those handles straight up over my head. That's about 9, 10. Now guys, I wasn't using enough weight there, okay? I'm just kind of doing this for demonstration purposes so that you guys can get the correct form. But if I was actually doing a full workout today, I would have stopped after about the 2nd rep because I would have realized, man, this little yellow band wasn't nearly difficult enough, because I want you to pick a resistance. And some of you guys may decide to double up and use 2 bands, okay? I want you to pick a resistance on every exercise today that's very difficult to do for 10 reps, okay? You can rest a minute in between sets, but if you don't pick a resistance that's very difficult to do for 10 reps, then guys, you're just kind of going through the motions, okay? So I want you to feel really fatigued. Now, I don't mean failure, like you just can barely get to that 10th rep and not anymore. So when you get to number 10, I want you to think, all right, that was really hard, but I might have been able to do 1 or 2 more reps, all right? That is the correct resistance for you. All right, exercise number 4 is a squat. It's kind of the granddaddy of all compound movements. And because it's compound, of course, that means we're working multiple muscle groups and multiple joints at the same time. And the great thing about that, guys, is it sends signals to our brain to ramp up production of all those great hormones, especially like testosterone, which makes it easier to build muscle and lose fat. So guys, there's a couple ways to do this, all right? So, and it really just depends on the hand position that you like. So I have kind of a medium width stance here. My toes are pointing slightly outward, okay? Now I could do two different ways. I can bring these handles up right here, and this is gonna be the position of the handles throughout the range of motion, all right? Or I can bring them up behind my arms, okay? And this would be my position throughout the full range of motion. So either way, just experiment, see which way you like the best. So guys, in this exercise, I'm gonna be looking straight ahead, all right? And I'm just gonna bend down and then back up. Now, some of you guys are gonna be really flexible and you can go nice and deep, okay? So I love that full range of motion, all right? If you can get down nice and low, go on and do it. But not everybody can do that, and I'm fine. So if you can only go to here, and then all of a sudden, your knees or your back or your ankles say, I don't want to go further, that's fine. You can do partial range of motion, guys. Now, if this is too easy, okay, even though you can't go deeper, maybe you're going, man, this just, I'm not feeling it. All right, let me show you how to feel it. 1, 2, 3. 1 rep. 1, 2, 3. 2 reps, okay? So, if you can't go all the way down, make the exercise more difficult, all right? By going slower, holding the position at the bottom of the movement, and that will make it feel artificially more difficult, and you'll get just as much out of it. Okay guys, exercise number 5 is gonna be focusing on our biceps. So this is an isolation movement, and the neat thing about bands and curls, or biceps, is there are a ton of different ways to hit this muscle group. It's probably the easiest muscle group to hit with bands because there's so many cool different ways. I'm gonna show you guys a real tricky way that I discovered, and it's great because it forces you to have perfect form. You can't cheat when you're doing it this way. So these would be horizontal curls or line curls. So I'm gonna use my feet as the anchor, okay? Start off making sure the bands are the correct lengths, equal length, and I'm just gonna lay back, okay? All right, I'm just laying flat on the ground. My elbows are gonna be anchored to the floor. So the floor is preventing us from cheating. We can't swing our body back and forth. So I'm gonna start right here, and I'm gonna curl all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well guys, 9, and you can look up with your head if you want to, 10 reps. So once again, I'm just picking a single band here, and I'm not pushing myself real hard. I'm just trying to show you guys the correct form, okay? And then I don't want to be so out of breath at the end of a set that I can't talk to you. But that was way too easy for me. So if you're doing 2 or 3 reps and you're going, wow, this is just too, you gotta stop. All right, stop, get a heavier band, or double up, or even triple up. So some of you guys are gonna be really strong, and you may decide to use 3 bands. Doesn't matter. Everybody's gonna be different, but you have to push yourself. Remember, when you get to that 10th rep, I want you to be nice and fatigued. I want you to be really pushing yourself hard. Even though you might be able to do 1, 2, 3 more reps, all right? It needs to be extremely difficult to get 10 in there. Now, just rest a minute, and remember, 3 sets of every exercise. All right, our last exercise today, number 6, is called lateral raises. Now, this is probably my favorite exercise for your shoulders. And for you guys that have bad shoulders, this is probably gonna be the best exercise for you. So we're not gonna be doing a pressing movement, all right? So we're not gonna be getting our elbows way up over our shoulders, okay? Everything's gonna be done down here. And for a lot of people who do have bad shoulders, they seem to find that this exercise doesn't aggravate their joints so much, okay? So once again, we're gonna be using our feet as the anchor, all right? You don't need to have a wide base here, okay? Unlike a squat. I got equal lengths on both sides, and I'm gonna have just a slight bend in my elbows, and I'm gonna be bringing my elbows and hands up at the same time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now guys, remember, I don't want you to bring your hands up higher than your elbows. So this is not the movement we want. We want to think, the mind-muscle connection I want you guys to be thinking about is bring your elbows up and your hands and the handle will just naturally follow, okay? And that if you do it with that kind of form, it'll put way less stress on your shoulder joint. And then guys, the other reason I think this exercise is so great is I promise you, okay, if you pick enough resistance, by that 10th rep, you're gonna start to feel a burn in your shoulders, okay? That's a lot of blood flowing in there, and of course, that's that lactic acid building up. So, shoulders are a fantastic exercise. A lot of people kind of neglect them. I actually focus more on my shoulders than some of my other body parts because big shoulders makes you look really big and wide with a shirt on. So I'm wearing a tank top now so you can actually see them, but normally I'm in a short sleeve shirt and big shoulders show through your clothes. Fantastic, I promise. Okay, remember I said at the end of this video, I'm gonna show you a trick that I like to do that really kind of supercharges these exercises, makes them more difficult, more intense, and actually more effective. Something called a rest pause set. Now, drop sets are a fantastic way to do this kind of thing when you're using dumbbells, all right? Doesn't work so great with bands because changing the bands out is kind of a hassle. And that's where rest pause sets come in. So, guys, feel free to do this on this workout. And I would only do this technique on the 3rd set of each exercise. So we got, remember, 6 exercises, 3 sets each. Don't do this technique on all 3 sets for all 6 exercises. All right, just do it on the last one, okay? So here's what I'm talking about when we're doing a rest pause. And I'm just gonna do it, okay, with the lateral raises that we just saw, okay? So here we go. Pretend I've gone through 10 reps here, all right? So I've picked a resistance, supposedly, that's really hard to get to that 10th rep, all right? I need to be really straining. Now, guys, I'm just doing a single band here because I want to show you the good form, all right? So you're just like, oh, 9, and 10 off. You're dead, you're dead. I want you to be that tired, all right? Here's where the rest pause comes in. Just stop and count to 15. 1, 2, 3, right? 15 seconds, all right, is all I want you to rest or pause, and then knock it out again. Keep going until you get to failure, all right? So on the first set there where you went to 10 reps, you should have been close to failure, all right? You should have been real close to failure. Then you rest for 15 seconds and then keep doing the same exercise until you can't do a single more rep. And that is a rest pause set, and that is gonna really ramp things up. Trust me, guys. You're gonna feel a fantastic pump and an incredible burn. All right, if you don't wanna look like that old man, then remember, you have to always stick with it and never give up on yourself.